Welcome everyone to the Saturday session of KidzLive. It's an initiative which we started with Kidzpreneur, and we talk to different business leaders, entrepreneurs, and educators. To let you know more about the different career options and their career paths, which have made whatever they are today. Today we have Deepali Singh. Deepali is an ex-colleague and mentor from my Naukri days. We know each other for almost 15 years now. Deepali has a vast experience of almost 24 years in human resources and sales and business development. Deepali, some of the things which I remember about Deepali is Deepali was my go-to person for a lot of things when I was confused during my 2 stints at Naukri. And Deepali was one of the first salespersons at InfoEdge, the Naukri brand. And she was instrumental in starting the 19 Acres and first Naukri websites, the businesses. So welcome, Deepali.
Thank you so much, Amish. Thank you for having me on board.
Right. And the idea to bring Deepali today is to talk about entrepreneurship. This is a new concept for parents. They've been hearing entrepreneurship, but entrepreneurship is something which we talk about in the entrepreneur circles. Entrepreneurship is where you are working for someone else, but you are not losing your entrepreneur mindset, and you're trying to see what can be done while working for a company, right? So you are employee to a company, but you're still being an entrepreneur within that organization and try to achieve and try to do more beyond an employee mindset. So Deepali, let's jump in the conversation. My first question usually to our guests is talk about their childhood, because we are talking to parents and children. How was your journey? As a kid, how it started? I don't believe you are from Delhi, right? So how was your journey, and then how is this connected to whatever you're doing today?
So yeah, we are not primarily from Delhi, but I've spent most of my childhood and growing up years in Delhi. My father was in paramilitary forces. He was in border security forces, which meant that we were traveling all over the country.
Right.
And at certain point in time in life, I think when we were in class 5th or class 6th, my father got posted in Delhi, and after that, we have just been in Delhi all throughout. So my early childhood primarily has been in Delhi. Uh, because I'm a part of a paramilitary service background, so a lot of things which had influenced who I am today is one big thing was adaptability, because being in paramilitary forces, you were supposed to be moving out of one station to other station after every 2.5 years, 3 years, which meant leaving behind your friends, changing schools, new place, new environment. In some cases you had you didn't even have a proper house to stay in. I remember, one particular posting, we were posted in Hazaribagh. So we were supposed to move and live in tents, because, the officers' accommodation had not been constructed at that point in time. So that way, it has really, it has been of course, I didn't realize it at that point in time, but now I really know that it had definitely a big influence in who I am today, because I am more adaptable. I'm open to new experiences. I am clearly, open to a lot of learnings, and that, in fact, has been, and of course, discipline. Discipline goes with being a part of, military forces, kid. So yes, and discipline is something which is part of me, and this is all thanks to being part of a paramilitary service background child.
Interesting. Right. So I think discipline is something which I keep hearing, especially from uh, kids who come from military, Air Force background. I think that's something which is taught to them. Uh, let's talk about entrepreneurship, right? And I think discipline also come when you're looking at entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship also. So what is entrepreneurship according to you, and what is the impact you see that in an organization?
So you put it very nicely when you were giving us the introduction here. Entrepreneurship is nothing but entrepreneurship in a corporate. So basically, you get all the perks of being an entrepreneur without actually taking a risk. So if somebody has got not really, if somebody really wants to be a entrepreneur, but is not ready to take in that risk or want to really jump in, the first step actually clearly could be trying doing something in an organization where the risk is little relatively less compared to when you are an entrepreneur. So I clearly, as per me, I define entrepreneurship as corporate entrepreneurship, where, you're employed by a company and you're working on a new project assignment, which is in some cases an extension of current existing product and services, or, you're trying to, work out something, a completely different product line for the organization to mitigate the risks. And to your point also, though we have started hearing about this thing recently, but it's not that it's clearly a new terminology, or it's a new word. It's been around for a couple of years now, and if I'm not wrong, it was coined in 1974 by a business school professor called Gifford Pinchot III. That's when he's the one who really coined that word for the first time, and of course then there are multiple people who have kind of carried on with that terminology.
Right, right. So, if obviously this was coined 45 years back,
Yeah,
uh, but the usage, especially, obviously, a lot of people were doing their own initiatives within the organization.
yeah.
Now they know, okay, it's called entrepreneurship. You know, there are people who are going beyond their job requirements, right? Job description, and doing something which they thought will be better for the organization as a whole. That's I think is also entrepreneurship, where you're taking initiatives beyond your job description. Otherwise, it's just a job. If you're just doing what you're supposed to do, right, told by the bosses, then it's basically a job. Uh, what do you think is the major difference between being an entrepreneur and entrepreneur?
Major difference is ability to take a risk. See, ability to take that risk. So the thing is, when you are an entrepreneur,
Hmm.
you are still quite secure. You still have got and you are still working within a framework, right, wherein you have got freedom, but you have got limited freedom. Entrepreneur is one, you have complete freedom to do whatever you want to do. And why I'm highlighting on the freedom is that all the decisions, whether it is positive or negative, are yours. So it's definitely more rewarding in terms of it is high risk, and if you make it, it is high return. And also, uh, a lot of your energies can potentially go into making the product or services work, because you are creating everything from scratch. There is no legacy which you have to really follow when you are being an entrepreneur. Whereas in case of an corporate entrepreneurship, it's a whole ecosystem. Even though you are an entrepreneur, but still you are within an ecosystem, and there are and there is a system which you need to follow. There is a legacy which is there, which always will be not always, but can potentially sometimes be pushback to whatever you're trying to do.
Right, right. And people who have worked in corporates, I think, especially people who are, their companies who are a little old, maybe 15, 20 years and plus, uh, there is a red tapeism. If even if you don't accept it, there is a red tapeism which comes in play, that there are certain things which are supposed to happen like this. ऐसे ही होगा, नहीं तो नहीं होगा, मत करो काम.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah.
So, uh, how do somebody, who thinks that, I can change the system? And I'm saying not become a revolutionary, because the person can lose his job, his or her job, but try to navigate through the systems. How do you think somebody, with ideas should go about doing it?
So, I mean, red tapeism for I mean me is definitely a very very strong word. But see, we have to see from the point of view of an organization, and now I have because I'm myself on an entrepreneur journey. So you have to so there is a lot at stake potentially. See, If you're part of an organization which is a growing, which is which is already on a growth curve, and it is a well established organization, and there you go and say that I want to go and introduce a new feature or a product or a service which I believe that can really make a difference. uh, there is a lot to lose. So in case potentially if that doesn't work out, the organization has a lot to lose. So they have to be very very careful on what they really want, what they really go ahead and put their head into it. And having said that, it is also very important for these kind of companies to ensure that they drive innovation, because in this world of technology, it's just a matter of time before you can just become redundant. And we have got so many cases historically to say that because you never innovated, because you never diversified your portfolio, uh, you know uh, there was a fallout, right? So coming back to your exactly the question that how do you navigate yourself, is that one, you have to really believe in the idea what you want to whatever you're proposing. Second is that you have to also understand that there is already a working system which is there in the corporation. So just because you're saying something, nobody's going to change it. You have to work towards it to get them to believe that whatever you are saying is going to make a difference. So a lot of hard work, persistence, belief in self and the idea, and then your executive presence to be able to go and talk to people, the stakeholders, and say that yes, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what how it is going to make a difference. And be at it for quite some time, so that people know that whatever you are saying, you believe in it yourself, and you are willing to slog it out and take it to that level wherever you are thinking the product has potential to do. These are the three, four things, if you keep on doing, in my view, you will be able to navigate your way through the corporate entrepreneurship. Otherwise, it may get a little tricky because of the reasons I mentioned, because, bigger corporations have a lot at stake compared to an entrepreneur, because, you are either there or not there.
Agreed. Agreed. Right, but we were talking before the session started. We were talking about this aspirational value of the young generation now, that they want more recognition today than probably we wanted. सबको अपना नाम चाहिए,
Yeah,
and patience is not something which they have, and patience is not something which you can teach also. You can just tell them ये मत करो, and then they're supposed to just sit there and do that.
yeah,
All these guys are very smart people. They have they're supposedly high achievers, because they were pushed to do more than whatever we were supposed to do.
yeah.
How do you think these guys, and from a I think from a management point of view, because you had those kind of people in your team also, how do you think management should look at these kind of high potential ideators with the potential of becoming entrepreneurs?
See, again, I'm saying that not everybody has a potential to become an entrepreneur, because and there is nothing wrong in it. It's not that everybody who gets into a corporate or somebody who's aspiring can potentially become an entrepreneur, because you need to have certain competencies and skills required to become an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur, whatever you want to really go ahead with it. So number one is one has to be really realistic and trying and identifying those kind of talents, and that would mean that you know to figure out that where that person really has those kind of competencies. Even though the generation is of instant gratification, they want everything on served on the platter, but the old age way of working still remains the same, that you have to be persistent, you have to have believing in that idea, you have to have that independent thinking, you have to have execution capabilities, actually impeccable execution capabilities, and able to navigate through uncertainty, because whenever you're trying to bring something new, it is uncertain. So now, first and foremost is that you have to one identify people that who you really feel that can bring about that new product or a change which you are looking at. And second is those individuals have to realize that they don't have those kind of competencies which I just mentioned, uh, the probability of them not making it increases. So that these are the things which you have to realize, and keep in mind that if I have these if people with these kind of competencies, the probability that I will be able to succeed with taking these people along increases. Otherwise, you will always have this kind of a problem that you know that they'll burn out quickly.
Right, right.
So the idea is that they should be really be told that if in case you want to be succeeding or in case you want to make it big, these are the things is something which you really need to work on.
Right. So let's talk about your journey as an entrepreneur. You have spent almost 2 decades with InfoEdge. Uh, how was your journey, and how did you navigate? You obviously started a couple of serious brands there, right? How did you navigate there? How the entire journey started for you?
Yes, so in fact, I have been very blessed that from the beginning of my career itself, somehow at that point in time, of course, I didn't realize that this is called entrepreneurship. I always had an opportunity to work in brands and products which were just starting out. So I got for me it was baptism by fire. So my first organization was Aptech Limited, and there also I was hired to be a part of a brand which had just been launched. So you could see a lot of things in action there. Where people are trying to take the product to the market. There is sales happening, there is marketing happening, and all the activity which happens as a part of the go to marketing activities. And uh, I was there for quite some time, and I realized that oh, this is quite exciting. It's so there was a team which was working on the standard product and services, which was the flagship brand for the company, and there was this team which was fighting day in and day out trying to succeed. And every day you had people flying. I mean, the company was headquartered out of Mumbai, so every day every week you have people coming out of flying in from Bombay, saying that point in time it was called Bombay. So they would keep on saying, what can we do? What is the market feedback? Let's go and all that side. So I kind of started to realize that between the two paths, this is the path I really realized. So I really really love, and I figured that out that I really thrive in chaos, and that began my journey of trying to find out options and opportunities which were essentially bringing that out in me. So. So I was one of the first persons, in my entire group. When I say in my peer group, who would have joined a .com company, and people at that point in time really thought that what's wrong with this person? She's gone and joining a particular, I mean, leaving a good company which is established company, and leaving something which is a .com company. Naukri.com was it just started at that point in time. So I moved on to Naukri, and I thought it was very exciting, absolutely new. Internet anyways was the sunrise industry at that point in time. Recruitment was new. You were trying to create something different from taking stuff offline from online. So I just simply loved it. But still, I wasn't truly an entrepreneur at that point in time. But I was learning a lot, and I could see everything in action. That how exactly a company takes off, and what all goes into really building a company in under the mentorship of Sanjeev and Hitesh. Um, but my true taste of entrepreneurship actually happened when I was given these projects to do 99 acres and first Naukri, and because I had seen this kind of what goes into making a company and all that, I was really excited to take on these projects, because I knew that I couldn't continue doing what I was doing. I didn't really like working like a clock. So I said it has to be something new which is going to really help me and help me grow. So that is where I had myself gone and asked people that why don't you give me something where I can create something from scratch.
Right.
So again, I had big shoes to fill in, because there was one hugely successful brand which was running, and it was all over the place. And there was this brand which was just starting out, and starting from me being the single individual who was part of that brand, to building the entire team, setting up the whole system, and taking it up to that particular level was very very exciting. And of course you had bumps in between, because for everything though it was a different domain, for everything you had Naukri to look up to. What is your traffic? You'll say mumble some word, something like that, which, so that hopefully nobody listens, because if you start comparing it yourself with Naukri, and they are talking about millions and millions of page views, here we have not even these thousands. So, all those things, were there, but what it really did to me was made me more resilient, made me more, made me, more determined to make it happen. Because, I realized that, if we have to do what was happening there, it has to be more than, I mean, I had to do more stuff, what was happening in Naukri to make it happen there. So, and subsequently, moving to first Naukri also, again, that was a very, very, challenging, problem to solve. Nobody had solved it at that point in time, and it took us really long time to figure out what exactly is going to work, what exactly is not going to work. And exactly, similarly, I said, lot of bumps, lot of roadblocks, because you had already, now you are part of the same domain. 99 Acres still was a different domain. Now you're part of the same domain, which is recruitment, and you have become, enormously big. You are already a, unicorn. You are already a, part of a company. Everybody, you've gone places. You have already done IPO, and then, again, you launch a brand where you are trying to say that, yes, I'm going to make a difference. So yes, people who are working with, the flagship brand, don't look up to you, because they see that, they are the flag bearers, and what is that, you can really do. But it is an individual choice, ultimately, because I knew for the company I'm making a difference. I knew for the, because we are trying to diversify, and I'm helping the company to, really expand their horizons, and, maybe, do an innovation which eventually is going to be a big, revenue line. So so it is, of course, your, entrepreneurial, orientation also, which comes into play. So that's the reason, when I, to your previous question, it isn't, really, just about, company, what company can do for you. It is also what you really want to do, and then you pick and choose those, things, to define your career journey. So I have been really blessed, and in fact, incidentally, what a good day to, have this session. Today is the Teachers' Day, and I can, be thankful to all my mentors who have really coached, guided, mentored me to be, doing what I'm doing, because all my experience through these 20 years have really, allowed me to take that plunge and do something on my own now.
Right, right. No, I think because I've been part of that side of the journey also. I know, some interesting stories of that. Uh, Talking about, Teachers' Day and mentorship, I think you had couple of mentors, people will die for, have mentors. Sanjeev, Chandani, and Hitesh Oberoi, who are actually the benchmarks when it comes to, doing something in the internet industry. They started uh, the revolution as we know it in India. How was your experience working with both of them, right? And I have worked with, at least I worked closely with Hitesh, not Sanjeev, but have looked up to both of them myself. What has been their style of working, and were there a lot of hand holding, micromanagement? What was their different styles, and I think you have also imbibed a lot of things learning from them.
So, both, so in fact, during my stint with Naukri, I worked, closely with, Sanjeev a little bit in 99 Acres, but after that, mostly, my interactions have been with Hitesh. So, exactly. So one good thing, I can say that, the way what I am today, and they've helped me shape myself, is they really push you. They really push you to go and, try out and prove that whatever you're saying is correct, and you'll be able to do it. So that is, it acts for me. It has really worked. That, if, I'm trying to go and say that, okay, this is a point, this is something which is going to work, they will question you. They will, be the devil's advocate. By the time, you've had 2 3 interaction with them, you will, figure out whether you want to do that or you don't want to do that. You are, very clear.
Right.
So, in terms of, creative freedom, yes, you had that creative freedom. At least, I can talk about myself. I was allowed to do whatever, I thought was good for the brand. Of course, within a company framework, you can't take that away, because, anyways, you're working in that, in a big organization. But largely as an organization, because, the organization per se has an entrepreneur and orientation. So I was encouraged. It was never the fact that, I was discouraged that, okay, what is that you are talking about? I got a good ear. People listen to whatever I wanted to say, and and it was hands off. It was hands off. in my case, I can say, it was largely hands.
Right. I remember working with Hitesh, and this was my second stint with InfoEdge. Uh, I was I was not very happy with the role which I was working on, and I reached out to Hitesh, and Hitesh first day, right? First meeting with Hitesh, Hitesh gave me things to do. Ja ye kar, you are open to do and talk to me directly. So I think this is also very leadership driven, because while people are talking about digital transformation today, because of COVID or whatever, uh, the micromanagement, especially, I'm not saying everybody does it, but a lot of companies have this, especially I think MSMEs have this snag of micromanaging everything. Uh, so how do you think this micromanagement and not giving that independence to try ideas will help people to innovate or take the next step further?
So again, if as an organization, if the organization does not have entrepreneur orientation, uh, it is unlikely that a lot of innovation will come out of that organization. And different kind of systems, different kind of processes, call for different kind of leadership style. So uh, for some people, micromanages management really works, but in terms of innovation and trying to create and make a difference, trying to create products which are really new age, new cutting edge technologies, in my view, micromanagement will not really work, because you have to give creative independence. You have to give people to try out, new things. Of course, there is a potential that it will just not work.
Right.
Having said that, micromanagement, in my view, is really an innovation killer. That way, it will not work. Innovation, if you are looking at new lines, new product lines, new services, cutting edge technologies coming out of any organization, you have to have an entrepreneur orientation. And entrepreneur orientation doesn't come with micro. I mean, they don't talk to each other. Micromanagement and entrepreneur orientation really they don't talk to each other.
Right, right. So I think we have touched, a lot of interesting things around entrepreneurship. My last question, which is more to do with kids and parents, uh, as a kidspreneur, we are, teaching or helping kids understand entrepreneurship mindset, and what we are actually saying is something which already shared, is the fact that you don't need to be entrepreneur to be successful in life. If you are more aware, empathetic, and smart enough to solve problems for your company or whoever, even if you're a bureaucrat, you become a IS officer, to solve that, you are a good thought leader, and that's what we are trying to do. um, what are the things which we and I think this is a question especially for parents. What are the few things which parents should look at, or parents should support their kids when we're talking about the early stage of entrepreneurship mindset?
So, see, this is a topic which can actually we can talk for about hours and hours. But what I will say is, first and foremost, the parents today have to get out of this mindset that everything is just academics and everything is just marks.
Yeah.
Um, that's a pretty straightforward, templatized way of learning. Parents should be encouraging their kids to try and figure out who they are. I mean, I know it sounds like a motherhood statement, but it's not that. It's not possible. So they have to let their children explore, discover that what they are all about, and that will only happen if they from the early childhood let them try out different things. You don't have to really ask them to tread the regular path that you go, because I did this, you only did that. They should be told to do as many things and explore all aspects of their personality, and then arrive at a career, or a not really career, but then really arrive at a path which they want to pursue eventually for a career. What really happens is that, because most of the because I have been in this journey for talking to these undergraduate students for a long time, and I hired people who are, you realize that most of the times you really don't know what is that you really like in terms of your professional career. So I mean, is there something so that's the reason you will say in first 2-3 years of your career, you will either change your job, or you will, just, give up that, this is not something, I really want to do. So to avoid those things, parents should essentially be allowing their kids to explore themselves, to discover what they really want to do, and that will only happen through experiential learning. So, for example, if there are 10, 12, 15 career paths which are in front of the child, let them try and figure out that, okay, which is, at least sensitize them that these are, 15, 20 career paths which are available for you. And if you want to become that, and if you, let's say, want to become a teacher, so these are the things you want to, this is what is required to be a teacher. Let them shadow a teacher for some time. If they really want to become an entrepreneur, let them shadow an entrepreneur and see that, this fellow is, it looks very, Mark Zuckerberg looks very, very exciting, and you're just looking up to him. Bill Gates, though of course he's an older, but looks very fancy and he's a billionaire. But nobody sees that, what went into making these guys. So they were having sleepless nights, they were working 24/7, so on and so forth. So, if you, most of the kids I ask, who do you admire? Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg. No, nothing wrong in, admiring him, or it's just that, you also need to know what he did to be there. That part is clearly missed. So, and that will only happen if you allow your kids to explore all the possible options, not all the possible options, but as many options as your kid is generally interested in. What we end up doing is, we actually push our children to, tread the regular path because that's more secure, that's more safe, and we don't allow them to take enough risks.
Right.
I mean, our definition of success and failure is, getting a, good job, stable salary, not really trying to, do what you really love.
Agreed. Agreed. I think 100%. But obviously, things are changing with, I would say, the kind of companies which are working with kids today, right? Like us, and there are some like Whitehead Junior who are teaching coding from early days to kind of look at that. I think there is a lot of creativity. Like there is a lot of alternate career opportunities which are at least getting showcased in front of parents and kids to look at that. Thank you, Deepali. This was actually very, very interesting, insightful conversation. I think this kind of validate a lot of things which I used to do at Naukri, and after that also,
Yeah.
uh, where I think I was the only one in my team doing something, trying to do something new, and then everybody will say, "Kya kar raha hai? Kyun kar raha hai?" But you were there before me, and I think you went through the same journey. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, so, to all the parents and children who are watching us, thank you for being there. These are testing times, and with KidzLive, we have tried to ensure that the learning curve for your kids does not stop. Because they are not going to schools, and Kidzpreneur will keep bringing in more and more insightful conversations and leaders like Deepali. Uh, if you have any subject which you want us to cover, feel free to reach out us on Facebook or on website kidspreneur.com. And thank you again for joining us. Thank you again, Devan.
Thank you so much, Amit. Amit, it was pleasure talking to you and being with Kidzpreneur. Thank you so much.
Thank you.